I like to say that I was born into it. It comes very natural for me. My mom, obviously, being a major factor, the fact that she studied public relations and comms, has a master's from Boston University. And so my home and just growing up was very, very eventful. If we weren't having an art show, I was on a plane, as a young girl, doing ads for Nigeria Airways. Or my mom's met up with Ben Bruce, and Ben Bruce wants me to sing in the opening of The Most Beautiful Girl in Nigeria. So I'm in, what's the name of our place in Surulere there?
National Theatre. How was the experience for you?
It was dope. And that was the year that Nikhil Shinowa won. Yes. So my school was invited at the time, and we sang this song, Isn't She Lovely? So I did that.
Do you still sing?
No. Voice is destroyed. I used to be a good singer when I was in secondary school. You know when we used to do social nights and miming and everything? I was in there with the heat sweat. So I had a very, very colorful childhood. I mean, when we had USA 94, Nigeria Airways was the official airline, and my mom was general manager marketing for Nigeria Airways. So she handled the partnership with the Super Eagles and Nigeria Airways, down to like where they stayed and all the different activity. And I got to be a part of that. So I've kind of always been in the mix. So even when I went to secondary school, quickly, social prefect now, standard.
Interesting.
Of course. Social prefect was organizing the baddest social nights, bro.
And I know you are also smart, and you've been smart since you were a kid. So how were you able to balance that?
You know what? I don't know how I do it. And very interestingly, my son's the same way. I'd bring home the straight A's. Even when I was in college, I was on the Dean's List, Alana Honor Society, all of that, but still extremely socially active. Always organizing one thing or the other, or being in the middle of something is just what I do, how I function. So
okay. With this early exposure into the world of PR, how did it affect your worldview from that young age? What impressions did it leave you with? What perspectives did you form from that young age?
I think that as a young girl doing all of this, I remember times my mom would come home from work and she's like, I'm on TV, I'm sitting next to this one. And then we're all there watching TV. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Or she would come out in the newspaper and they'd write Mama K, Nigeria Airways MD woman. And I'd see that, I'd be like, So then now growing up, getting into secondary school, organizing stuff, I didn't even realize what I was doing was anything. I knew how to publicize anything. I could make anybody buy anything. I can tell you this water here is the holy water from somewhere. You believe me, right? Moving on into college, and I'll never forget, my mom came to visit me one semester, and she brought me tape. I can't remember if it was a tape or a CD, and it was Tribesmen, LD and the rest of them. And I remember looking at the back of it, and there was a phone number, and I called, and it was LD that actually picked up. And I said, hi, my name is Bukky. I'm calling you from the US. I didn't know that Nigeria were making jams like this now, and X, Y, and Z. There's an event called the Nigerian Reunion that happens every 4th of July in the US. I'm going to push your name forward and blah, blah.
Are you serious?
They flew him in. And, so I've always been involved in that stuff. I didn't see it as a job. It's just kind of stuff that I've always done until I decided to formalize it and register my company when I was 25.
And I guess the environment of growing up, your childhood, it was an affirming environment. You grew up self-confident.
So,
okay.
My mother is an Igbo woman.
Okay.
And when you have an Onitsha woman raising you, you're going to be all right.
With the early exposure, were there any, I don't know, unintended negative consequences or effects on you? Any insecurities? I don't know.
Obviously, I think there were insecurities because, I had a very fun, but at the same time strict mom who was very into her world of comms. And so public perception was something that was extremely important to her. And we learned that from a very young age. You can't sound like that. You have to sit like that. How you're perceived, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that might have put some pressure in me caring about public perception. Because that's part of the big deal when it comes to comms and PR is managing the perception of the public on your brand, whether they're trusting it, whether they're liking it, whether they're buying it. So I'm very, very self-aware, which can be extremely tiring. Yeah.
Well, I think hopefully you didn't get to a point where you were too focused on external perception.
I'm constantly calculated.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's not particularly a very nice thing, but it is what it is. And it's some of the things that, I work on and I struggle with. But yes, you're self-aware as a publicist because I'm constantly dealing with and managing the perception of the public on any of my clients' brands. So it's almost inevitable that I'm doing it to myself as well. So sometimes only my friends and only those that are super close to me get a glimpse of what Bukky's really like. But then I think that so before we started talking, that was Bukky. Yeah. But then, before we started the show, that was Bukky. But I can bet you nobody except my inner circle has ever seen me in that light. I have my game face on 24/7. And it can be tiring.
Because I was about to ask, doesn't it get stressful?
No, it does. It's tiring. But then, of course, I have good friends that allow me just unleash. Like, I'm a major clown. People don't know that. They just see, Bukky, but we tell you, hey, tough. With like, guy, I can make all of you laugh. Put me on stage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then as a young kid, what were your dreams then? Was it PR or was it something else?
I wanted to be an investigator.
Okay, investigating what?
And you can blame that on Secret 7, Famous 5, and Nancy Drew. I just wanted to solve crime.
Oh.
I thought, in fact, my brother, if you're listening to this, Femi, I love you. I made Femi join me on adventures that weren't even there. Like, we would just make stuff up. Like, I'll see a pair of slippers and I'll be like, Femi, whose slippers is that? Like, I don't know. This is my brother, 2 years younger than me. Poor kid. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, we have to investigate. Oh no. We're bringing out paper, we're writing shoe or found here, slippers. Where is the second leg?
Are you serious?
Bruh. I had the biggest and the wildest imaginations, and I entertained myself, and I took my brother along all my biggest imaginary stuff. All the kids in the neighborhood, they were ready. Bukky, what case are we solving today? Okay. Like, guys, let's walk around. Why is the neighbor talking to 6 people who are, I swear we almost got in trouble. But I had a massive imagination. But it's so interesting how my big imagination and my love for books and my love for stories is very, very reflected on my ability to write amazing press releases. And I'm able to describe stuff, and that's how I'm able to sell anything. And I'm able to, curate the perception for any brand because I have a massive imagination. I can pull together a campaign. I can see it. And I will execute it.
So yes, it came naturally, but did you need to hone it as well? Trainings and stuff? I mean,
obviously, with education, with everything else, and your knowledge of the industry, you'll obviously know how to not go overboard. Because I mean, back then I used to tell my brother to sit with me on a chair and that we would fly to New York. That's not gonna happen, right? So with the big imaginations, you obviously use PR tactics and things that you learn and all of that to make sure that you're building the right campaigns and you're, talking about, the relevant things that the brand wants their target audiences to know. But having an imagination, I say, is something that is extremely important in this field. MyCrawlApp was my imagination of, Bukky, everybody calls you for where to go. From Tuesday, your phone is blowing up. Yeah, Bukky, so one of my friends wants to do dinner somewhere, but they want somewhere a little bit private, but the place still needs to have some music, and the place has to be very, very wine friendly. And I'm like, okay, OT's place. Boom. Bukky, yeah, me and the boys want to go out partying, and we don't want everyone to see us, but we want a place where we can dance. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to call Obi Kubana. I have studied the entire city in terms of social experiences. And I said, you know what? This is enough. I'm calling my friend Shegun. Shegun, we need an app. We need a directory. This app is really not that complicated. I can't imagine how many people have seen the app and are like, this girl, this BITCA, right? This is super easy. It's like having a bloody directory. But then there's a lot of work. It took us about 2 years. We went through 3 app developers, to find the right look, the right feel. And it doesn't stop. This is not an app that you build and is going on its own. People are constantly wanting to see different things, different experiences. So it means that my eye too is on the ball. You can't open the app and you're seeing the exact same thing every week. It has to change. There's a lot of content management. But yeah, I digress.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But it took 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Why?
All the right images. There's over 100 and something different social experiences there. Restaurant, bars everywhere. Finding where our best yoga classes are. I had to experience all of these places firsthand.
Oh, I see.
The app describes everywhere uniquely.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a while. There were some times where we kind of almost gave up, so there'll be dead air for like 3 months. And then Shegun will call and say, what's going on with our app? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So yeah, let's start again. And then we start again, and then there's dead air again. So yeah, it took a while. So both of
you complimented yourselves?
Yeah.
If it had been just you, you probably would never have said.
And then we have Eze too. Eze is just a whiz to the whole tech space and the entertainment space as well. So I had to call him in. And that's when, you learn that you try to do stuff yourself, you might never get it off the ground. But then you need to bring in the people that complement where you don't have certain strengths. And that's exactly what I did. I just called my boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, was it your interest in being an investigator that made you want to study psychology?
You know what? I don't know why I studied psychology now that I think about it. If I could go back, I would have studied comms.
Right.
But it just didn't occur to me that half of the stuff I was doing was comms.
I see.
Because it was so natural and it was so what I was used to seeing every day anyway.
Is it that you didn't think you could build a career out of it?
I don't think I realized. But first of all, we have to give attention to the fact that I was 15. Sure. I doubt that anyone really knows what they want to do at 15. I started off as a psych major. By the time I read 2 textbooks on Matthew, I was like, this ain't working. And I ended up studying African American history.